Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to this week's new podcast episode of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And I'm so excited that you're joining us live today on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you are tuning in right now, please drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. So if you're watching the live here on Facebook and on YouTube, please hashtag live. And if you are watching the replay, please hashtag replay. So today's episode is all about transforming challenges into triumphs. And I can tell you this, I cannot think of a better guest to share this conversation with than my dear friend, Kelly Jo Farner. Kelly Jo is a life coach and she helps women overcome trauma. And she is someone who has faced life's obstacles head on and turned them into opportunities for growth, healing, and empowerment. And today she's here to share her journey with us. So, Kelly, welcome to the show.
Hi, Angeline, and I just wanted to say I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me? I can see you clearly.
I mean, I think it's the camera level's not. I guess I can't see you that way. I don't know. I don't know
Is
what's
this
going on.
better? Is this better?
I don't see you at all. I
Oh,
think it's too much by the up by the windows and the fan I can see, but I don't
okay.
see you. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's okay.
it's okay, but I can see you. So,
Well, that's great.
yeah, there you go. That's all that matters. Okay. So, everyone, if you're watching the live again, please hashtag live. And if you're catching the replay, please hashtag replay. What I'm going to do is this. Let me just set this like this. Okay. Let's try that. Okay. And what I want to say is this, Kelly, I'm so glad you're here with us today. And because you know what it is, you bring such light and resilience to every space that you walk into.
Oh,
So,
thank
for
you.
those who may not know you yet, please introduce yourself. Can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background and your story?
Sure. My name is Kelly Jo Farner, and I'm from York, Pennsylvania, and it's 11:07, by the way, here.
That's right.
And I basically came from. I would just start with this. I was adopted at the age of two or three, I believe, till they officially adopted me. And I came from a family up in, I would say, Fanitsburg, which is in the middle of nowhere. And my mother, who's no longer here, I guess apparently she couldn't keep me for some reason. She left my dad, and I ended up with my dad. And then my dad ended up not being able to care for me because he was always away, blowing up bridges. So then I was adopted, and I was adopted into a family that had two other children, girls, and my mother, dear, I love her to death. She's like my saving grace. And literally when the day she came up to get me, I'll never forget this, what she told me. I walked right up to my mother and I said, "Let's go, mommy." And I held her hand and we went out the door.
Wow.
And she knew that she wanted me at that point, and she had to take both me and my brother. So she told my dad she'd be back for my brother. Originally, she was just there for my brother. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Because she herself had lost a son at birth, like 3 days old. And so she was there to get a boy. And she ended up with me first. um,
Wow.
yeah, and she walked out without my brother, but came back for him because obviously that we were a package. We still are. But
Right.
I didn't know that by being adopted into this family that I was going to go through some of the things that I went through. And not only did I experience the abandonment by my biological mother, I had some problems with my dad because when my mother and father, at 7 years of age, they got a divorce. And so that led to, I'm not sure if it led to my father's drinking, but apparently he was drinking a lot. And he would take me on weekends, and he would sexually abuse me. And that was like for 7 years straight. Um, but it was just on weekends for a couple of years because at that point I was with my mother. We're going back and forth from my mother to my father, right? And
Right.
my mother really didn't understand when I was trying to tell her, don't let me go, because I was in fear of going with my dad. But I don't think sometimes mothers take those cues. They just have to do what the courts tell them to do, so they just do it and they don't take the cues of what's really
Mm,
going on. And my mother did not know. I know for a fact she didn't know, but
mm,
I went back and forth. And then my mother, she had said that she sat me and my brother down and basically had told me that she was leaving. And she had left and she had went with a boyfriend of hers. And I don't can't say as I blame her, because for so many years she literally like sacrificed everything, and she was a single mother, and we weren't the easiest children to raise, me
right.
and my brother. And so she literally she stepped out. I always say she stepped out because that's exactly what happened. She stepped out
Oh,
on
she
us.
did. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and she went to leave. She went to stay with her boyfriend in an apartment, and she left the house to my dad. And that's when things got abruptly worse for me and my siblings. I say siblings because my dad ended up getting remarried. And so
Mm,
that, and it wasn't bad enough that I was forced to go with my dad part time, and now I had to face the monster full time. And he even though I had other siblings, because he married a lady with the same last name, I might add, as us at that time. And she had two children, and the older
right.
child was also female. Was I had an older sister at that point. And so he still sexually abused me, but he also sexually abused the older one as well. And I felt some type of way, like, I know I was only little, but
Mm,
I felt as if, like, I felt relieved. And I don't like saying that, because I feel like, oh God, I'm feeling relieved because he's doing it to someone else.
yeah.
But it was hard for me as a little girl to comprehend what was going on in the first place, because you don't hear about the birds and the bees till you get older, and you're experiencing it way before you even
Oh,
hear about
yeah.
it,
And
you
how old were
know.
you? How many years young were you?
So it started when I was 7.
It did.
And
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so by the time it ended, I was 14.
Wow.
So it was 7 years. And a lot of things that happened during that time, I don't recall a lot of the things that happened during that time. I just know that it was, you know how you try to block things out? Like
Yes.
my mother told me, like, you learned how to play the piano. Well, I don't remember that, because that was all blocked out, because I was learning how to play the piano during that time.
Right. And that's common when,
Yeah, and I
yes, that
still
is common.
I mean, I still to this day don't remember, or don't cannot comprehend like when that was, because I don't remember. Like, I can't remember the preacher's name of the church I went to. I can't remember the
Mm,
preacher's um wife's name who was teaching me how to play the piano. And I went in front of a piano and I tried to play, and I remember me for the first time when I was like 30 some years old. I walked into this store and I was behind this piano, and I started playing, but I was like, I don't know how to play the piano. What is going on here?
yeah. What's going on? Right. Exactly. Oh, geez.
Right.
Oh,
And
my God.
so I'm like, how do I know how to play this piano? Now, I didn't know how to play very well, because I mean, I obviously forgot how to play the keys and everything else, but I just know I
Right.
must have been picking up on something that I learned that was deep seated, But yeah, so that was, that was like a really tough time in my life, and I have a lot more tough times coming up, but it's just like you kind of like learn to go with the flow. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like it's
Mm,
just happening to you and you're just going with the flow. Like you don't know what's going to happen next. You're always waiting for something worse to happen. And that's what
right.
it felt like. It felt like I was waiting for something worse to happen as if it wasn't worse enough.
Wasn't worse
Um,
enough. Right.
Right. And so from there, at 14, I was really not a good my let me just say I was very troubled. And when all this came out, I was actually going to William Penn Senior High.
Wow.
And I remember telling the teacher that I'm sick, I need to go to the nurse's office. And so I went to the nurse's office, and the nurse was like, "Are you okay?" And you know how they want to like console you and things like that.
Right.
And she went to talk to me and console me, and I just started crying. And I could not stop crying, and she didn't know why. And then it turned in, I felt like I could talk to her, I guess. And I just started telling her everything.
Mm,
And it came out, and I remember not going home that day. I don't remember where I actually went after that, but I remember not going home that day. And I remember showing up in court, and the judge taking me back in the chambers to talk to me. And
wow.
then I had
Wow.
to go in the front to point out my attacker. So he told me that he wouldn't ask me any questions on the stand, and that all I had to do was point him out, and I did. And I remember then, my dad didn't serve any jail time at all for that.
Mm,
But he was an alcoholic, so they sent him to AA, I believe it was. He had to go through, I guess, a series of things in order to, I guess, turn his life around. But I remember being at my sister's, and you know what? For the life of me, I don't recall if I went to like a holding place where I was supposed to hold until I went to see her or what, because I don't remember that time frame. I don't know if it's me just like blocking these things out, but that's what happened.
could be. Okay.
And yeah, so my sister and I did not get along, but she meant
Mm,
well. She did a good job by me. She took me in when she had two kids of her own, you know,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was I'll tell you, I was not a very good teenager.
Oh no, what happened with that? Okay.
Well, for one, I put my sister through so much.
Oh geez.
It was like I tried very hard. I felt like I wanted to say I felt like Cinderella because I felt like every time I turned around, I was doing chores and I was babysitting because she was work. But my sister, mind you, she was working two jobs and she was also going to school.
Right.
So I could understand how it would feel because I was doing a lot for her because I was going to school too, but I was also doing chores and I was helping with the kids. And my niece and nephew love them dearly. But I just gave my sister such a hard time, like I guess I didn't want to understand what she was going through. But that was the selfish me, I was a teenager and didn't realize how selfish I was.
Oh geez. Yeah. That
So
happens. It's the teenagers.
yeah,
You
I
know?
know. And at 14, you're just like, okay, you're just trying to figure out what life is, and just life
Right,
is just
exactly.
happening to you, and I guess you don't realize you're kind of, I think all of us at 14, teenagers, were kind of conceited, or I want to say like
Mm.
selfish in a way, because we don't care about what's going on with other people as much as we care about what's going on with us.
Right, exactly. I
You
agree with
know?
you.
So I wasn't a very good person in that manner, but I mean, I remember I was just trying, I was testing my boundaries with her. And
Mm.
I mean, she had boundaries, let me tell you. She knew how to leave, she knew how to have boundaries. That's one thing she did not have a problem with.
Oh, Jesus.
And I mean, I had a problem with boundaries, and to this day I still have somewhat of a problem with boundaries, but we'll get into that. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that, to be honest, Angeline, I thought my life was just over at that point. Okay, here I am. I'm with my sister now, not with my mom, not at my dad's house, you know. And I was relieved that I was gone from that house, but I missed my brother really a lot, you know, because me and my brother,
Mm.
we were close, you know. And now he's not with me. He's still with my dad. They didn't take him, they took me. So, and I was with her family, and I'll be honest, I did not like her husband at that time. And I don't
Oh,
know if it was I didn't like men in general at that time, or if it's just I just didn't like him, but he was a little off, you know, because every time he come into the room, he'd take a look at me and it'd be almost like he's giving me the evil eye, you know. But I know that I was the one, I'm the one that came into his house. So I can understand it probably felt like as if I was just interfering, you know. So,
mm.
but yeah, it's like, you know, I kind of felt that way because I felt like an outsider. And even though I lived in that house and I ate there and I slept there, I still felt like an outsider, you know,
Wow.
an
Wow.
outsider looking in.
Right, an outsider looking in. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it got to the point where it just boiled up, and at 15 I decided, you know, I'm leaving this joint. I'm leaving. And I literally, when everybody went to sleep, um when everyone was asleep, I packed a bag. I remember going up to my friend's house, Joey's, um, and I just left while everybody was asleep. Nobody heard me go. Apparently, my sister has bionic ears
Oh boy.
because she
Uh-oh.
knew, for whatever reason, she was woken up and knew that I was not around.
Mm.
First place she went was Joey's house. But I told Joey, you're going to hide me in this closet and you're not going to let me out until she leaves because I know this is the first place that she's going to go. And
Okay.
he hid me in the closet and waited until she left and then got me a ride. And I was out of there. I was in, where was it? It's kind of, bear with me. I was in a little town, little ways away from Red Line. I can't remember. Windsor it was, right?
Okay.
I ended up there.
You ended up there. Oh geez. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I mean, you know, again, I'm 15 at this point. My picture is on the back of a milk carton because they couldn't find me. I was 3 months gone. So, you know, I was in Windsor, I was in York City, and
Wow.
the rest, you know, to make that story a little bit shorter, this man, and I can't remember his name. I wish I could remember his name because to this day I would like to thank him because I wouldn't have gotten an education if it wasn't for him.
Mm.
But he said to me, he says, you're done. You're going home. I'm not having this. I'm gonna call the cops. And first thing I said was, oh, please don't call the cops. Please
Don't
don't. You
kill
know.
the cops. Oh my God.
I was
No.
like, I'll do anything, just don't call the cops, please. I don't want to go back there. And he ended up calling the cops. And boy, let me tell you, those cops came to pick me up and because I was on the phone with a guy from that I met down at the shore, one of those beach trips that me and my sister took. And his name was Jay. I remember his name. That's funny. I remember his name. But it's weird because I remember his name, but nobody else's. Um, but I remember telling him on the phone that I'm going to come to you. We're going to live together. I mean, I'm going to blow this joint. I'm not living in PA anymore. I don't want to be here.
Mm.
So, I ended up not making it to Maryland because that's where I was going. And I remember the police knocking on the door, and
Uh-oh. Oh.
everything else was a blur until I end up in the actual police station. And mind you, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and they call my
Mhm.
sister at 2 a.m. to tell
At 2
her,
a.m.?
yes, to tell
Oh,
her they
geez.
found me. Yes.
They found
And
you. They found
yeah,
you.
so she gets in her car at 2 a.m., comes to the police station, and tells me, first thing that comes out of her mouth is, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear a word. Just be
Wow.
quiet. And she's pulling me by my ear into the car. I said, oh, I remember telling myself, all hell is going to break loose. Like, I'm never going to have a life after this.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah, so she took me home, and I remember her saying, you are grounded. She packed up the TV, put that in her car trunk every single day. Um, she packed up the telephone. That's when we had the hardwired telephones and everything.
Oh,
She
yeah. I
put that
remember. I
in her
remember
car.
those. Yes. Yes.
She put that in her car every day and went to work. While I was home, no telephone, no TV, just me, myself, and I. And, it was summer, so obviously my niece and nephew were home too. But I just remember her saying, you have nothing now. You're going to be grounded for a long time.
Oh, this is your. How old was your sister, by the way? I was.
My sister is 15, 16 years older than I am.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so you can only imagine she did not have a teenager at that time. My niece was not a teenager. My niece is 8 years younger than me, so she wasn't a teenager at that time.
Okay. Okay.
So she was getting, I'll tell you, she was getting the education with me, let me tell you. So she got that education before her kid even became a teenager.
Oh, geez.
But I mean, shortly after that, I mean, I guess it started to mend because she ended up giving me back my privileges one after another,
Okay.
after I kind of like she said I would have to earn back my privileges, which I didn't blame her because I couldn't be trusted, at that point.
Right.
And I remember I'll tell you, she was very protective, my sister, of
Mm.
me. And I think it's because of everything I've been through. But she was very protective. I couldn't even go on a date without her. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
yeah. I remember, and some guy actually told me this a couple years ago. He's like, "Hey, do you remember that we went on that date when, to the movie theater? Your sister was sitting right behind us, and I couldn't even hold your hand or anything."
Your sister
Yeah,
was your biggest protector.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, and if I had boyfriends, they had to come to the house. I
Ah,
remember that. And they were like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Yeah."
yeah, see? So now you're being
But I'll say she did have my best interest in mind. And to this day, she is my hero, even though we still don't see eye to eye on a lot
Mm.
of things. She's still my hero. Because if it wasn't for her, I would not have finished school. And I finished school because of her, So yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Jeez.
But yeah, that was just one thing. I don't know if you want to hear. I'll try to make it as short as possible. But the domestic dispute between my husband and I.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's
So.
talk about that. And then I would like you to share, like, especially for young women today
Mm-hmm.
who are going through domestic violence or whatever trauma,
Mm-hmm.
like, what are some, like, what were things that you learned, meaning healing techniques that you implemented
Yeah. Yeah, of
for
course.
yourself so we can empower other women because I just feel that there's just a cry out there for help.
There
That
definitely is. You are
yeah.
right about that. Yeah.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
um, I don't want to say too much about the domestic dispute because I do still have a child that's his child
Okay.
and stuff. So I want to be as respectful as I can, but I'm going to like tell my story. So here's
Sure,
how it
tell your
goes.
story as much as
Um,
you want to share.
Sure, no, no problem. So, my daughter's father, I got with him, I believe, in my early 20s, and it was, I'll tell you, not all of it was bad, but I did not know what I was getting myself into, you know. Um, at that point, he had told me, he came clean with me and told me, you know, that he was 10 years clean of drugs. And
Mhm.
and I was like, I'm glad he came clean. I'm glad he told me because that prepared me a little bit more for what was
Okay.
about to happen. But we got together. I was young, obviously, and he was young. So um, basically, we ended up getting married when my child was 4 years old.
Okay.
And till then, things seemed okay. I think there was some red flags though along the way.
Let's talk about those red flags.
So one of them was like when he would follow me around with a video camera any chance that he got. And he would say to me, hey, basically he would try to like video me like when we were fighting so that he said you could see yourself later about how ridiculous you were.
Oh my
So he would do that, and then he would hold on one second. I'm sorry. I just got to tell this person because this is coming off. I'm on a live.
God. Okay.
um,
We can come join the live.
yeah, well, please, don't text right now
Right.
because
Let's put it out.
it's interfering.
Okay.
So basically he would follow me around with that camera, and for the life of me, I'd be like, why are you doing this? Because it's humiliating to see yourself on camera, actually going through those mental breaks and stuff that you're having.
Mm.
Then he would get really like he would yell at me, scream at me at the top of my lungs and say everything was my fault. Like, you need counseling, you need help, things like that.
Yep. So things
Nothing
like
was
that.
ever his fault. Nothing was ever his fault.
Right.
And so the one red flag was the one day I came back from I was running a lot because I was very I just got out of the army and stuff, so I was like very active and I was
Oh,
running a lot. And I came back and from my run and I went to get showered and we got into a fight, and the next thing I know is he's screaming. I'm in the shower, mind you, and he's screaming at me and I'm not even sure why he's screaming. But at this point, I'm really afraid. I felt
sure.
the fear, because I've never heard him like this before with me. And I wasn't even sure what he was screaming at me about. And so he opened up the curtain and then he balled up his fist, but he did not hit me. It was like he was scaring me.
Trying to scare
Um,
you. Right. Scaring
Right.
you.
Right, like a scare tactic. And so at that point, I was like, okay, okay. I just shrugged it off as maybe he was just in a bad mood and, things will get better. We don't do this very often. So you know how you make these
Oh, I know. Those are lies
excuses.
that we're actually telling ourselves.
Right.
You
And
realize that
we
later. Yeah.
exactly. We excuse the behavior because, oh, this guy it's not that bad because he's,
Right.
every other time he's nice to me. So, we're going to move forward a little bit. My daughter's 4 years old. We end up getting
Mhm.
married. Okay.
Okay.
So it's 2001, September 11th,
Oh boy.
2001. I'm
Wow.
sorry, September 8th, 2001. You know what happened
Yeah.
on September 11th?
That I
The
know. I
Twin
was in New York
Towers.
when it happened.
Yeah, so September 8th, 2001. First of all, and I don't know because I'm a little bit superstitious, but there was a black cat that was dead at the door of barn our reception barn that we were going into. And so I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm very superstitious, right? So I was like, well, that's not a good omen.
Right, that's not a good omen, right?
So they had to remove it. And so we went in and we had our reception and everything. Things were good. Then we ended up 3 days later, we end up in West Virginia for our honeymoon.
Oh,
And everyone's like, well, why'd you go? I don't think it was West Virginia, it was Virginia for our honeymoon. And everybody's like, well, why did you go to Virginia? There's nothing there. Well, someone gave us their timeshare, so we went with it. So we went there and we wanted to go to Busch Gardens and everything.
oh wow.
But I remember I was standing in the hotel looking at the TV and asking the hotel person, "Is this for real? Like, or is this a movie or something?" Because I'm looking at the second twin tower, um, going down. Like,
Oh boy.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, I remember feeling sad. I'm like, oh well, this is another. I remember telling myself, this can't be good. I'm on
This
my
can't
honeymoon.
I was actually traveling to New York City on 9/11. You ready for this? And I
Mm-hmm.
saw faintly from a distance, you'd think it was just a small helicopter. Oh
Mm,
no, this is no big deal. Then we went, then I ended up in Midtown Manhattan because
mm,
I had an appointment with the global bank. Never happened because when I
mm.
arrived there, the first tower had gone down.
Oh
We were
wow.
trapped. I was trapped for six, not trapped, but I was in Midtown and we weren't able to leave for 6 hours because at that
Wow.
time my ex-husband was in Lower Manhattan collecting a check from a
Wow.
client, and the client actually gave him the check and told him to leave. And it was
Mm.
just, yeah,
Wow,
awful.
that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't a good time. I mean, that whole week, like we actually left our honeymoon early because I
Mm.
actually saw the ships go out. The first day there was no ships on the water, right? The second day
Right,
I see
right.
the ships going out. So I know, oh, I'm like, oh, are we gonna go to war or what's going on?
I
No,
know,
it's
that was me too. I was like, "What is coming?" Here I am right in the middle of everything, and people are walking around. There are coffee shops, and I ended up at the Lowe's Hotel, and I just stayed there for 6 hours. I said, "I'm
mm.
just going to sweat it out, have lunch, and that's it."
Yeah, I remember calling my daughter because she was in school. And
Mm.
I think they had left the school, they left them out early from school. And I remember the babysitter, my best friend, telling me, yeah, I don't know, you just stay where you're at, hun. It's okay. We got this. It's okay. And I just couldn't. I told him, I said, look, I know this is either bad luck. I don't know what it is, but we just can't stay here. We have to go.
Okay, we may have Kelly. Are you there? We may have lost Kelly. So
Okay, there you
you're
are.
here. Okay, so just pick up where you left off, and we'll just edit this out. Okay,
Yeah, no problem. So
no problem.
basically, I had said we just have to go home, because we can't be here.
Mm.
So I basically we went home, and that was that. So fast forward to when my husband at that time decided that it was a good idea to go back on drugs, and
Uh-oh.
so he went on drugs, and it would he would. I didn't know that he was doing drugs. Let's just put it that way. For a while, I did not know, but um he was doing drugs and I could tell that certain behavior it was off, right?
Mm.
And you know,
Mhm.
and I think because of the drugs, because of what that does to a person, they're not themselves to begin with. So they're trying to go through life too, and we as partners are trying to figure out like what is going on, why the big change.
Right.
Um, and so he would get physical with me without going too much into it. He would get physical with me, and if he didn't have certain things, like if he didn't have money or something like that, he knew I had money and I wouldn't give it to him, he would just turn everything upside down. Like, just like, I remember sitting on the floor in the living room and we had spaghetti on our plates. And he just physically took that table and just went bam, and it went everywhere.
Um,
Spaghetti went everywhere. Um,
um,
and I ended up scrubbing things off the floor, off the wall. And you know how spaghetti sauce on a wall,
oh
you know,
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
yeah, so I ended up doing that, and we did a lot of screaming, it seemed, in front of the children, and I didn't like that. I felt bad about that, because I was just as much as at fault because I was doing the screaming back. I could have ignored it, I could have just left,
right.
but I didn't. And a part of me was like, I can fix him, and I couldn't fix him. It took me. I was in that relationship for 18 years. I
Okay.
even I put him through, he went to Florida to get help. He left 30 days in. Before 30 days was up, he left and said God healed him. And at that time, he was a pastor. Um,
Wow, really? Oh my
yeah.
God.
And we had a church. Our church was literally at a hotel, and we had people coming to church. And I was done with that whole thing when um, the the money from the offering plate started going missing. I was so mad. I ended up saying, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not going back to that. I don't want anything to do with this because this is not
Right.
what God would want. And I think from that moment on, it got worse because I was just like, I wasn't going to do everything he told me to do anymore because he was definitely narcissistic behavior and things like
Okay.
that. But I didn't want to put up with it, but I felt I had no choice but to put up with it because if I stopped doing everything he told me to do, but it just made it worse for me. And then with my children, I could have left and not put them through all that, but I made that decision to stay and try to fix him when I knew in the back of my mind I couldn't fix him, but I thought maybe okay, maybe I can, you know.
Mm.
So one thing led to another, and I remember I was having some problems with my daughter at that time, and I called Children and Youth Services because I wanted some counseling for her and stuff like that. And so one thing led to another, and they found out about his drug addiction, and they started testing him for drugs, and things like that. And then they told me I had no choice; I had to leave, or else I was going to lose my children. Um, so I ended up leaving him, and that day is such a blur to me because
Mm.
it was at the time I was relieved because I wasn't around it, right? But I was also homeless. So I ended up homeless. I ended up putting my daughter with somebody, one of her friends, and I ended up going away, and I ended up finding a place for me with my aunt and uncle up in Shippensburg. And, you know, I thought I was done with this man. And, I don't know what it is, but they seem to always try to suck you back in.
They try to, right, exactly. It's manipulation.
Yes. And at that time,
Manipulation.
he had this is ironic. He had a PFA on me. Okay. He
What?
turned it around on me because it was my mistake. At the time before I left, I remember I felt very threatened. I felt like, oh my gosh, if I don't do something, scare him or something, something's going to happen, and I'm not going to make it out of here. I ended up pulling this gun on him. Now, mind you, I knew that there was no bullets. He
Okay.
didn't know that there was no bullets, and I pointed it straight at him. I said, I will shoot you where you stand. I said, don't come one step near me. And
Mhm.
my kids weren't around when this happened. But he was like, are you serious? He ended up running out the door. And,
Wow.
and I was like, whoo, that was, you know. You know, that was a relief because he
That was a
ran.
relief. Sure, sure.
You know, because I was like, what am I going to do if he calls my bluff? You know, and I don't have any real gun. I don't have any real bullets in this weapon. So he left. Well, that worked against me in court. So I had said to
Hmm.
him, I had said to the judge, I said, yeah, I pulled a gun on him, but the gun was not loaded. So the the judge asked me the question. He said,
Right.
if the gun was loaded, would you have shot him? I said, I probably would have. I
Wow.
said, I suffered so much, I probably would have shot him. And the judge was like, okay then. So
Oh, geez.
he ended up getting a PFA on me. So that was ironic. I mean, that I never thought in a million years like this guy who's been abusing me ends up switching the table and I get a PFA on
Right.
me, right? But then something had happened and we were at me and my fast forward this, me and my daughter were at our new townhouse and something had happened. He had come in to the townhouse, broke into the townhouse and everything. And we had a tussle. I'll say that. I won't say too much into it. But I
Sure.
ended up going to court. He ended up being picked up. He went to jail. I went to court.
Oh,
He
boy.
served about 3 months in prison. I went to court while that happened. I can't remember too much of this because of the trauma behind it. But I ended up
Right.
getting a PFA on him. So then the tables turned and switched, and I got a PFA on him. And I remember the cop saying because the the guy kept saying, "Well, it's not abuse. It's not abuse because you're husband and wife." The judge said something about because it was a sexual thing. Um, the judge said, "Well, it's not because it's your husband and wife."
Your husband and
Oh,
wife. Right.
yeah. So okay, so somebody can't do something to you, you know, because you're husband and wife. It's an act between husband and wife, but we were separated at that point, right? And he broke into my house. So the I remember the officer coming up to me afterwards and say, I feel so bad, but you know, I dropped the ball. I did not find out if he could actually get into your place. And so he went out to my place and did exactly what I told him to do, put a credit card in the lock where it was locked, and you could unlock it in 5 seconds. So he went to the down to the courthouse and he actually helped me get that PFA. So I ended up getting a PFA from him. Well, fast forward to this when I was over in, you know, at Shippensburg. I didn't
Mm.
listen to my aunt and uncle. I went back, even though I had a PFA on him. I went back to him.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then after that, things happened again, and I ended up leaving for good. But you know, it's like you just really I never understood why my mentality was to fix him. Now I know why. Because a part of me was like, I just want to fix this situation so that
Right.
I can live my life again, so that my life can be better, you know? And I wouldn't stay with the same man because, you know I can fix him, right? But you can't fix him. And if
You
anybody's
can't
out there
fix. Right.
listening, yeah, if you're out there listening to this, you can't fix somebody. They're broken. They actually have to want it. You can't fix them.
Exactly.
If they don't want it, if they don't want to stop doing drugs, you can't make them stop doing drugs. If they don't want to you know, show up for your relationship, you can't make them show up for your relationship. Um
Exactly.
it,
Exactly.
you know, it's hard. It's hard when you're in it to really you could say a whole lot to somebody when they're absolutely in that space, but until you're outside looking in and you're looking in at somebody else, that's when you're kind of like, okay, now I've been through this, so I can kind of tell them, but they're still not going to be able to hear that because they're in it, they're actively in what's going on with them, and they don't understand because they're not outside looking in like we are.
Right.
But people kept
Exactly.
telling me, why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? But a part of me was like, well, I want to fix the guy. I want to help him.
Sure.
Well, you
Sure.
can't, you know? So, with that being said, it took me a long time. I end up with today. I'm fine. I ended up with a great guy. Like, we've known each other since we were in high school, but I didn't know him. But when we were in high school, I kind of didn't like him in high school. It's funny because I thought he was a
Isn't
ladies'
that
man.
funny?
but I ended up with him. He's Asian. He's nice. I love him.
Oh, that's great.
And he doesn't treat me like, I was treated in the past. He treats me like a lady should be treated.
Like a lady should be treated. Exactly.
Yes, and
Exactly.
so I think a part of
That's
me had
great.
healed because of being in that relationship. I've healed more so because now I'm not, like, a part of me for a while was blaming men in general. I
Mhm.
generalized men, and I didn't want to be in a man's life. I didn't want that, because I was genuinely scared that if I would get with somebody, I would get with somebody again that would do that stuff to me, you know?
Right. It's the fear. It's the fear. Uh,
Right.
yeah, it's the fear. And what we talked
Exactly.
about earlier about that happened to me. I mean, I tried to fix the situation too.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that he was not going to change. He became, he had a slew of mental health issues. And I knew that it was time for me to move on and
Right.
time for me to create the life that I desire and that I truly deserve to live because I did deserve much better. And
Exactly.
same thing for you. And,
Hmm.
God bless you for finding, the right man in your life. And how long have you been married, the both of you?
So we're not technically married on
Okay.
paper, but I call my
That's,
husband. So it's been 12 years. And I will
oh,
say
good.
this, because I want you to know I've healed to the point where I'm able to, if I saw that man again, I'm able to give him a hug. And I'll tell you why. Because
Okay.
I know that he has changed so much. And to my daughter's point, and my daughter and I had this conversation. You can talk all about the bad stuff, the negative stuff, but the good
Right.
stuff. What about the good stuff about my dad? And there's a lot of good in him. Okay. He was just
Mhm.
going through a bad time. And no, it didn't make it right. It did not make it right what he did, but he was going through a bad time. He was an addict. And addicts, as you know it, they just don't have any control over their lives.
Exactly.
And so until you actually are out of that and you are doing healing yourself, you're not going to see the bad that you did. But I will say he's remarried. He is no longer on drugs. It took for us, and I told
Wow, that's a blessing.
I told Christina this too. I said it took for me and your dad to split up, to
Mm.
leave each other, um, for him to heal and for me to heal. And there are just some things that, like, you're not meant to be together. So you can't have a toxic relationship.
Right,
And so
exactly.
yeah, so he's doing good. He's moved out of Pennsylvania. Well, he's just still in Pennsylvania, but he has his own business. The same business he had, but it's different because he's doing good by everyone. He's not doing anything that he did in the past. And I will say that's and the only reason I want to say that is because yes, I got to look at the good and the bad. Bad is just learning from the mistakes and not going back there. But the good in the fact that he is now a good part of my daughter's life and everything. And, for kids, they didn't ask to be born. And so they didn't ask to be put in that situation, right? So, I had to take a lot of time for myself to heal because every time I would think of his name, even, I would cry or I would get angry or what have you. And I just knew that I had to change that. So the first thing you asked me, what changed? I forgave. I
Right.
forgave. Forgiveness is key. You must
Mhm.
forgive because if you do not forgive, like it says in the Bible, God doesn't have to forgive us. I have God in my life, so that's a big reason why I can do and say some of the things I say now. I want to help women that have been through trauma, that have been through this sort of thing. I want to be
Sure.
able to help them see that light. because it's not all darkness. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and you can do it. You just first have to forgive them. And then, second, you have to forgive yourself. Because if you don't forgive yourself, you're going to continue down that path. You're going to continuously have that anger inside of you of what happened, because you're going to be angry at yourself that you allowed it to happen, you know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I had to forgive myself. And third, you have to make new memories. Make new memories with somebody that is worth your time to be with. And when I say that, like someone that is not going to do those things. I think sometimes we go back into relationships because with people that have done stuff to you, um,
Mm,
because we're not completely healed. So if we're not completely healed, we're going to attract other
there you go.
people that are going to do the same thing. So it's going to be a never ending cycle if you're not completely healed.
And you
So,
brought up a good point. If you are not completely healed, right, you're going to attract that type of person in your life.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have not yet healed from the trauma that you had. And also, other people, they want to help others with trauma, but they don't want to heal themselves. You have to heal yourself to be able to help others to heal, because how are you, if you're still in that space, that headspace, going to help others if you're still in that headspace, that negative, I call it a negative nanny.
Negative,
Negative
right,
nanny.
exactly.
You're in
Exactly.
that negative headspace. So here you are in that headspace and you're trying to help others. It's not going to work. So with that being said, if you are one of those people out there and you're trying to help others, please check yourself first. Make sure that you're completely healed from what has happened to you before you help others, because you don't want to bring others into that headspace, because it's not going to help them and it's not going to help you. And also, too, if you're completely healed, you would be able to tell the story. And I say this all the time, and I'm backed by this. You would be able to tell the story without emotion. Um,
Mm.
I know some people say no, that's not true, but from personal experience, if you're not completely healed, you will be more emotional when you're telling the story. Now, obviously, there is some that type of good emotion where you're crying happy tears and things like
You're
that.
crying happy tears, right? Happy tears of joy.
That's
Because there's been
different.
times where I've shared my story and I haven't broken down in tears, but
Right.
you
It's
can tell.
there's those, you can tell when it's like an emotion from not being healed than it is an emotion from being healed. And I call them happy tears,
Happy
because
tears, right?
it does like reflect, and I say this because there's so many of us out there that's had trauma, have dealt with some of these things, but if they're trying to help somebody else, you can't, and it has not ended well. And that's one
Mhm.
thing, like absolutely looking for women that have been totally healed from what they've been through, because I want to be able to have them on my team. One of
Okay.
my life's passions is to help women specifically, and to, because I'm a life coach, right? So I want to have a team of life coaches that could be able to help women, and be able to get them the help that they need too, because it's not only about helping them, like, while, like, when it's all said and done, but also while they're in it,
While
like,
they're in it, exactly.
yeah, while they're in it, be able to help get away from those people that are abusing them and things like that. I want to be able to help them there too, while they're in it and then afterwards. So I just think that, I my life's work is going to be around mostly women, but I will help men too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not leaving it to one sex, but women, like you said to me before the show, there's a whole lot of women out there that are not healed.
That are not healed yet, right? But not only that, they're crying for help, and then
They're
they're
crying for help.
actually sharing screenshots of conversations.
Yes, yes, definitely. So, there's so many people that need help. And
Yeah.
so, but there's only so many of us. too,
Right,
that have
exactly.
fully healed and that can fully prepare them and help them through what they're going through. So that's why I'm hoping that by doing what I'm doing, that I can help those people heal, hope those women heal so that they can, donate, not donate, but volunteer to help other women as well,
Right, exactly.
So
Exactly.
and that's why I'm going to school to become a clinical psychologist, because I really truly believe that that will
Mm,
also help me on my journey as well, because it'll help me to further that, you know, so that I can help more women. And, there's men that go through this too, so I don't want to discount that. But
right.
my life's goal mainly was to help women, but if there's some men along the way that I can help too, I will most definitely do that. But
Sure.
yeah, you know I admire you, Angeline, because you've stepped out. um
Thank you.
you've stepped out and you've stepped up. Your life, I mean, I've heard your story and everything like that, and it's just amazing just how much you help these women, empower these women, and
Thank you.
how many women's lives you've changed just by telling your story. And that's what we need to do. We need to tell our story so that we can help women, help transform their lives as well. And
Exactly.
I do want to thank you, because this has been a real eye opener. I will tell you, only the second podcast that I've been on that I talked about my story. It took me all
Oh,
these years to talk about it.
that's
So yeah.
okay. I listened to the other podcast, by the way. I watched
Oh,
it.
that was
Amazing.
awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
amazing. I mean, you certainly have a story to share with the world. And thank you for following my journey. We have followed each other's journey for a long time.
Yes,
Long,
we
long
have.
time. And I'm
Um,
and this is what this platform is all about, everyone. Breaking your silence and sharing your real life story, because this live is going to touch a woman's heart. Maybe, it's going to touch many hearts. And so I want to say, Kelly, thank you for being very vulnerable and sharing your story. And what I would like to do is this. So for women who may feel stuck in this challenge right now, what would be your first piece of advice to help them start shifting forward? Like, what could they do to make that mindset shift
so
and
my
start
first
moving forward?
so my first piece of advice would be to get help.
Okay.
You do need to get help. And mind you, not everyone out there can help you. So when you go to get help, I always say this: the people that have been through the trauma themselves, have done the work to get healed
Mm,
and everything. They're the people that you want to be with, that you want to get that help from. You can be a psychologist, right? And or a counselor or whatever, and you can be book smart, okay? And
mm,
I'm not saying that they're not, but they haven't gone through the trauma themselves. Those are,
exactly.
so I think that if you're going to do something, if you're going to get that help, you might as well get help from someone who's been there, done that, okay?
There you
And
go.
that would help to turn it around. Now, that being said, okay, you know, it's not easy trying to find those people. Okay. So ask a friend, ask somebody in your community, if they know anybody who's been through this kind of trauma that you're going through, that you can like locate and to help you. Okay.
Mm,
Because, like, again, you could call a counselor, but you don't know what their story is. And find out their story, by all means, shop around.
shop
you know,
around. There you go.
because you're important enough to shop around, because you have to heal. And the only way you're going to heal is if you get with that person that's going to help you through it, that's right for you. Okay. And not everybody is right for everyone. So
That's
that's
true.
one of the things. And do the work, put in the work. Okay. Because it's not going to happen overnight. Healing doesn't happen overnight. You have to be able to put in the work. And like I said, you also have to be able to forgive yourself and forgive the
Mm,
person that did it to you. So, but putting in the work is going to be what's going to get you to that point where where you're going to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. You brought up a good point. You brought up a very, very good point. So, for those of you who are watching the live on YouTube or Facebook, or you could be watching the replay, please feel free to drop your questions or words of encouragement for Kelly Jo in the chat. We would love to hear from you. So, final words, because we're coming up to the top of the hour. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much for sharing your powerful story with us today.
sure.
And your courage and authenticity are a true reminder that no matter what challenges we face, we can rise and triumph. Meaning, we can rise from the ashes and be triumphant. And before we wrap up, can you share with our listeners how they can connect with you and follow on your journey? Where's the best place for people to get in touch with you?
Sure. So I'm online. I'm on Facebook as Kelly Jo Farner.
Okay.
I'm also I have a website, www.poetrybykelly.com. I'm also on Facebook. I have Kelly's Literary Haven, which is my life coach practice. I have a
Okay.
Facebook page, and I also have a group where we share poetry and things like that in the Kelly's Literary Haven. Because what I do with trauma victims, well, I don't want to call them victims because they're no longer victims; they're
Right.
victors.
We are
But
victors. We are victors.
exactly. What I do is we create poetry and they create their story so that it helps them to get through that trauma. So we do it through words.
Oh, that's
So
great. That's
that's a little
awesome.
different than some people do it. So this is how I do that. But if they want to get a hold of me, they can also call me at 717-825-9545. More than likely have to basically send you some information through the email. I also
Right.
have an email, Kelly's Literary Haven 777 at outlook.com.
Okay.
So
Can we repeat that? Kelly's Literary Haven.
Kelly's Literary Haven 777 at outlook.com.
Okay, so that's your email address. Okay.
Yes. And real quick before we leave, so the city of York is doing a trauma unit.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah, so I had talked to Michael Muldrow. He's the police commissioner,
Oh,
and I had
good.
told him that I could donate my time to help them if they'd like that. So I'm in the midst of getting in contact with him about trying to help him with his trauma unit that they opened up in the city of York. So if anybody out there in York County area is experiencing something like that, I guess there are counselors that are going to be available to you in
Good.
this trauma unit that Michael Muldrow is putting together. So I
Oh,
just
that's
wanted to
amazing.
let you know that. So because I really believe that, you know, it's important for everyone to be able to heal and have access to programs that, you know, help them to face their trauma head on and heal. So,
Exactly.
um,
Exactly. And
yeah.
here's Joy. Hi, Joy. Welcome.
Oh, that's
Um,
my friend. She's my best
Hi,
friend.
Joy. Kelly Jo Warner is their Facebook. That's right. And see, yes, absolutely, Joy. I agree with you. Thank you for coming into the live. Yes, she is. Kelly is an amazing overcomer. But not
Thank
only
you.
that, she's helping other women. And very proud of you, Kelly. I mean, this is a great conversation, that
Thank you.
we had. And hello. So,
Hello, Joy.
hi, Joy. Where are you live streaming from? Is she? Yeah. So here, please get in touch with Kelly. You can email Kelly at Kelly's Literary Haven 777 at outlook.com. And let me just check the rest. And here is Kelly Jo's Facebook page, Facebook. And by the way, everyone, all the links will be in the show notes. Okay.
There you
So we're
go.
going to put all the links there. And also, please check out Kelly's poetry. You know, poetry is a great outlet for women.
Yes, and that's
Great
one of the
outlet.
reasons why I use that, because it's a
Yeah,
great outlet for them to express themselves. And I want everyone that comes to me to be able to express themselves through story as well, as poetry, because we all have a story to tell.
exactly. We all have a story to tell, is right. And oh, she's in Harrisburg. Oh, I bet
Yes.
I've traveled to Harrisburg. In fact, I used to travel to Harrisburg and actually York, Pennsylvania too for business. Back in the day of sales, remember outside sales. And so, oh yes, I remember those days. So, anyways, I am so happy, Kelly. This has been a huge blessing for you to share your story. So, please, everyone, get in touch with Kelly. And also, as we wrap up here today, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in to Let's Break the Silence. Remember, your story matters, your
Yes.
voice matters, and your challenges do not define you. They
Yes,
prepare you for your triumphs. So if you
exactly.
found today's conversation inspiring, please be sure to share this episode with a friend who needs encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube at Let's Break the Silence with Angeline, follow on Facebook, and join our growing community of empowered women. So until next time, keep breaking the silence, keep shining your light, and know that you are never alone. And before we close out, oh, hi, Joy. Yes, I am in Stuart, Florida. So actually, I moved from upstate New York. I used to live in Saratoga Springs, New York. I lived there for 16 years and I sought refuge there after I escaped domestic violence. So this has been my passion and my vision to share, to have women share their real life stories and to break their silence because we all have a voice and our voices must be heard. So,
Exactly.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And Kelly and I, we know each other for a long, long time. And actually, I have a special announcement to make. More coming in October. I am going to be launching a brand new podcast for
Yes.
2026. Doesn't mean that Let's Break the Silence will go away, but it's time. You ready for the title? This is what we came up with.
Oh yeah, what's the title?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
excited.
Okay. I'm going to announce it right now.
Yes.
Her unapologetic voice.
Awesome. That's one I chose.
Yeah, her unapologetic voice. So stay tuned. And Kelly will definitely have you back,
Thank
for the
you.
launch. The launch will be happening in January of 2026. And also, before I forget, what I would like you to, so for those of you who would like to stay updated on live events and continue to receive resources that will equip and empower you on your healing journey, please go to my website and subscribe to my newsletters. And the link is right here, letsbreakthesilence.com. And Joy is saying, okay, I'll be right over. I know, Florida weather. I know. I'm in Stuart, Florida. So I live on the southeast coast of the Treasure Coast between Port St. Lucie and Jupiter, Florida. So if you're familiar with those areas, otherwise, a lot of people like I tell people that I live 2 hours north of Fort Lauderdale. So that'll give you an idea. But it's a beautiful area. Come right over, escape the cold weather, and come down to Florida.
Definitely.
I
I'll be
know it
meeting
gets
you
cold
there.
in the winter. That's one
I
of the reasons.
definitely want to meet you there. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, we will definitely meet. Absolutely. Ah, thanks, Joy. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So glad you were able to hop on. So please share this live out with a friend, share this in a Facebook group, whatever, to whomever needs to hear this message. And like I said, all Kelly Joe's links will be in the show notes. We will launch this episode on Spotify tomorrow. So it will be
Awesome.
out first thing in the morning, which I'm really super excited about. And that's it. More coming
Thank
soon.
you.
Yes. Okay, let's go. That's right. That's right. That's right. Kelly
Thank-
Joe is amazing. She is
Oh, well, you're
amazing.
amazing. You're
Oh,
amazing.
thank you. Thank you. Look at this. You were
Let's
all
go.
amazing.
Joy's amazing.
Amazing. All right, everyone.
All right.
So
Thank you.
thank you, Kelly. Please stay in the green room for a few minutes,
Okay.
and we're going to end this live broadcast. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.
Bye.
Stay inspired. Bye.